G'day guys, Josh here. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. So basically, there was a tweet by Elvish Guy previously, I think on episode of Zydegeist with six other casters. Um, there was five other casters, but anyway, this just to get the point about the existence of an Ivory Tower. It's about an hour and 12 minutes podcast. I recommend you guys watch it. They talk about the Ivory Tower and so they talk about Ivory Tower, the one that's being memed and why it was brought up in the first place and stuff like that as well. Just give a quick summary. Basically, the Ivory Tower was brought up as a big meme. It was basically about 2 years ago. Josh A, one of the casters that was in the ESA MDL scene or ESA Premier scene, released this nuke document nuking all the top tier casters and stuff like that, mentioning my name in it as well as being one of the people that are effectively get kept out of the scene. And I'd go say like that's not true to an extent, like as in like that's not true at all. Let's just put it that way. That I was kept out of the top tier, the AU scene, or anything like that at all. Realistically, I had no contacts in the AU scene compared to my contacts in the EU scene. He does mention my rate of work in the EU and AU scene at that time, which was phenomenal. I don't think anyone could really match that in the scene at all at the moment, with me knowing a lot about the EU scene, me knowing a lot about the AU scene, and casting the amount of games that I did cast. I rarely took breaks and everything like that as well. So that's pretty true. But like with the gatekeeping and stuff like that, Ivory Towers they call it. And Ivory Towers is just basically when you get a group of people who will try to make every opportunity to keep anyone else out of the circle. And the thing is that that generally that person will have to be in line of the TO, which is very very rare because the TO doesn't want a controlling group. In other words. But like realistically in the scene, like there's not really much. There are ivory towers, like there are definitely ivory towers, but it's just not as malicious and malevolent as people seem to be. Because simply, if you want to get into that ivory tower, I suppose, and making it a lot bigger than it actually is, you just have to talk to people and that's it, and you may get your shot. Now, a lot of people may feel like it's like absolute crap that they have to do that, but in every industry, you have to actually talk to people and socialize people. You can't be like goddamn hermit crab and expect stuff to come in your lap. Which I'm pretty much a lot with. I keep to myself and talk to other people. I have a different sort of friend group and stuff like that as well. Basically, I do talk to people in the scene and somewhat, and that's what happens. People do think I'm a great caster, but I don't reach out as much as other casters or anything like that as well because I don't know, it's what I feel like I want to do and stuff like that. It may hurt my career, so be it, but that's kind of how I am. Now, the reason why I decided Ivory Towers exist and I know it's malicious and nefarious as it is, I mean, you can take a look at the, let's just use ESO as a champs, for example. They've had the same caster set for almost 1.5 to 2 years with a few cameos from new and up-and-coming casters. Now, that is a definition of an ivory tower. Now, an ivory tower people may view as derogatory, but the fact is that they have reliable casters, they are serviceable, and nobody new's coming to the scene that can not overthrow it, but can contribute more to it than those four guys. Because you got to realize those guys are also working hard on multiple different games, and if you can work on multiple different games, there's more chance a tier will hire you because you're familiar and is serviceable for the game as well. So you have to do a little bit and more. Now, a lot of people may view this as unfair, but it's just the shit you got to deal with. Okay, like you gotta bring more to the scene. Now, like you think about it, like think about the four six casters that they've had the same over and over and over again. Those guys can cast 4 or 5 different games. Do they know those 4 or 5 different games in and out? I'll say a few of them do. Maybe a few of them know two or three games and just play by play on the other games. We don't know, but either way, they know a lot about it, and their skills, are there for all 5 of those different games. So that's what you got to put it down to. Now, there's other little ivory towers in CS:GO, and there's like, for example, like basically I would say right now for the ANZ main, there's another one as well where there's a few casters there that you will get the gigs, including myself. Like this is what I mean about ivory towers, is that when a person can work and is able to work, and hasn't caused any dumb stuff at all, that generally that's where ivory tower is created. Another one can be said about Bruce Vegas as well, where they've had the same caster set as well with a few different casters for the last probably, I think Bruce Vegas last probably last 6-7 times. It's all right. LPL, same thing. So like if you like want to talk about like ivory towers keeping people out, you got to look from a TO perspective, okay? If you're not bringing in something substantially new and substantially groundbreaking, you're not going to get in, okay? There's a lot of limitations to this as well. Like if you're in a good location, it helps. You have to have good content, good location. People don't want to be flying people overseas to just attend whatever. And I try my best in all of this with this constantly streaming, constantly learning new games, constantly new game styles, and trying to do the best that I can to explain to people and basically educate people on like what their thought process is and stuff like that as well, and basically communicate the game as best as I can in an analytical fashion and also a play-by-play caster as well. Now, at the same time, I'm not exactly the best caster in the mix at all. Like, if I'm going to be real with the ESL Challenger coming up, I wouldn't be surprised if the ESL Challenger coming out in Melbourne, it will be the same set of casters for Challenger Melbourne last time. There's no reason to change it, okay? No reason at all. Now, if you think just because the same four people get hired again means it's the Ivory Tower they're keeping up and everyone out, that's just bullshit. You can tell the difference between gatekeeping and Ivory Tower very, very easily is when they spread rumors to TOs to not hire you for reasons that are completely and utterly false. And there are a lot of examples of these gatekeeping scum that are now out of the scene because people called them out. They don't last very long, okay? Like people who play the politics game in casting don't last very long at all because one, they burn out because the stress of trying to manage it all. Can you imagine trying to manage keeping your scene just for you rather than just like letting anyone in at this stage? And two, generally their product quality goes down while the person trying to keep up goes up, and they just don't win. Basically, so they just like a lot of the top tier casters don't have the time to delve into political bullshit. Now you can see one example of this if you want to know. And if this person watches the video, they'll probably shout me out in a very derogatory manner. But you talk about the PGL major. Remember that person who made a big issue because they just switched the casters around because Sadicus couldn't attend, made a giant issue about it. Like, look what he's doing now. He's nowhere in the CSGO scene anymore. Okay, he did a few impact here and there, but he's not up to tier 1 where he should be at the moment, and that's due to the fact is he's causing trouble. And sometimes some people may go, yeah, you need to cause trouble at times to get your point across, but other times when you're causing trouble for the sake of like not something that's let's just say something that seems more selfish than anything like that, it tends to bounce back negatively. Okay, if you're not doing it for a greater purpose, it tends to bounce back negatively. I know I've just got completely sidetracked about the Ivory Tower thing, but just put it simply, it exists. Anyone who says it doesn't exist is a bit naive, because or their definition of Ivory Towers are very, very different, but I just feel they're more naive. It's because the Ivory Tower is more of a familiarity based. Like a lot of people talk about nepotism and stuff like that. Nepotism's like kind of is very true in the esports scene. Like you only get in because you know someone and stuff like that as well. Because a lot of the things is who you know rather than how good you are, kind of thing. You can be very, very good, but if you can't be discovered, then people aren't going to talk to you and stuff like that as well. Now, have my comments and my stuff, like what I've said about things, stuff like that, kept me out of scene or lost me jobs and opportunities? 100%. Okay, I mean, I've got to still mend a bridge with Relog and stuff like that because of what I've said about them underpaying casters. Okay, like I was very, very vocal about that. Now there could be other stuff as well where I've been got into arguments with other casters and stuff like that, which can get me into the heap as well. And all I do is I just sometimes just fight for what is right, and that's pretty much it. And this Ivory Tower stuff is completely utterly wrong. Like a lot of people complaining about it. It's usually within yourself than the scene overall. The scene's very welcoming in Australia, like incredibly welcoming in Australia if you want it to be. If you don't think it is, then I can tell you right now, the reason why you can't get a job in Australian esports full time is that the scene's not fucking big enough. Okay, I'm gonna say right now, let's just be honest. Okay, if you think there's Ivory Tower exists, the scene's not big enough. Those 4-6 casters and AZ champs are lucky to have that job. Okay, because basically ESL can go like this, cut their money back, put it down to 4 casters and 2 casters out of a job, very, very easily. Okay, because you can still run a show with 4 casters. You can run an efficient and tight ship. It can be done, and it's not all easy money kind of thing where they can keep people out either, because they could be the ones next to the chopping block. they could be the one next door having a job. So anyone in the AUC, like, there's no ivory tower to really be built of because there's not much in the scene to begin with. Like, the Australian scene has a lot of passion, but the money is not there to have, people gatekeeping it and realistically trying to create a monopoly out of it. Those are my thoughts. I know I probably rambled and raved for a bit as well, but those are my thoughts about it as well. Like, it's nothing nefarious. If you do like talk to people and just cast your stuff, really appreciate it, and basically a lot of people appreciate it as well. And the more you get known in the scene, the other things about not getting known in the scene or being completely blocked off is if you want to get completely blocked off from the scene, just do what Josh A did. Like, you'll just never get into esports ever again. The main reason why you'll never get into esports ever again is because a you lash out at people, which people don't want to work with, and how I said earlier, it's costed me some opportunities. It probably has. B, it shows a lack of bigger picture kind of thinking that you need to have for the esports scene. It can't be just about you. And C, what else? I don't know about C, but anyways, we'll just keep C as it is. It's just looking like chucking a giant tantrum isn't really pretty on Twitter. That's pretty much it. Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed the video, I hope you guys can really just piece this together. I know some people are going to misinterpret this like 100%, like saying that, I'm only just voicing my frustrations on Twitter or YouTube or whatever it is, that I'm a terrible caster, I'm a terrible analyst and stuff like that. You can say that if you want, okay? But the fact of the matter is, like, what I'm saying is pretty true about the scene overall, okay? It is not malicious. Nepotism isn't, like, designed to keep you out. It's not nefarious or anything like that. In, the Ivory Tower, stuff like that. It's just as it is, okay? It is how the real world works, okay? You can't, there's nothing different about esports compared to the actual real world. So just be aware of that as well. Like, there's nothing different, okay? So if someone says that it doesn't exist, they're naive or wrong. It does exist, and it's not as bad as you think it is. See you guys. See you later, guys.